Dare to be Bold is brought to you by J.Forks Designs lifestyle accessory brand. Here at J.Forks Designs, Dare to be Bold is more than our motto. It's our way of life. For our podcast series, we are interviewing people who live boldly. I'm the host, Casey Forks. For our very first episode, we sat down with Josh Lannon from Warrior's Heart, a healing center with an impeccably moving story. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for this edition of the Dare to be Bold podcast by J.Forks Designs. We are here in Bandera, Texas. My name is Casey. I'm here with Josh Lannon. This is Warrior's Heart. It is a healing center for military veterans and EMTs. Is that right?
And first responders.
And first responders.
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell us just a little bit about what takes place here?
Yeah, so we're on a 543-acre ranch here in Bandera, Texas.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. It was originally owned by ConocoPhillips, and they really did it right. They built the place. Another oil company, Mac Energy, came in and put a ton of money into it. So when we found it, we're like, they built this for a treatment center. They just didn't know it. So our job was to convince them to sell it to us, and we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we converted it into a healing center for our active military, our veterans, and our first responders, police, firefighters, EMS, corrections officers. So those are struggling with chemical dependency and PTSD.
That's fantastic. When you say a healing center, like what types of things take place here?
So the first level of care is detox. So from over-medicating, drinking too much, there's an actual detox process. So we have a medical detox here. And then we have a 42-day inpatient program where they go through, it's like a training course because these guys are used to training courses, and gals too. And that's how we designed it. We designed it as a training course that they go through. There's curriculum, there's events that they do, a lot of team building stuff, and a lot of individual care as well.
That's amazing. It sounds like a really great program.
Thank you.
How many individuals do you have here?
It's a 60-bed facility.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it typically occupied to its fullest? Usually,
we purchased the property December 2015. We got licensed in April 2016. And then through that process, we started going through our accreditation. So we have the highest level of accreditation in behavioral health. We got TRICARE certified, so we can take government insurance. So we had to go through all of these regulations. And now we're fully staffed, fully licensed, fully up and running. And we've put almost 360 warriors through our course.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it's really gaining a lot of momentum.
That is really cool. So can you tell us a little bit about, when you see these people come in here, or they come in and you help heal them and they heal, what is the most rewarding part of that for you?
Yeah, because I've been one of the guys that have walked in scared to death, not knowing, who's who, what's what, is this deal for real? And so the guard's up. And when they come in, there's that hesitation. Yeah. And one of the things that we do is when we see them, we greet them, we say, welcome home. And that kind of gets a little bit of a shock.
A little bit.
What? Mm-hmm. Welcome home. It's like, yeah, man, welcome home. Because a lot of our guys have gone overseas. Mm-hmm. They've come back physically, but they haven't come back completely. Right. Emotionally, mentally, they're still over there. So we want to bring them all the way home, bring them home here. And it's powerful. So watching them go through that process from the fog in the eyes to the clarity that starts to come back. And in about 3 or 4 days, it's like, yeah, nice to finally meet you. They're like, man, oh my gosh. As the body starts to clear and the mind starts to clear, and then you get to meet the real person. Because the real person seems to fall behind in a hiding place, and the addiction is running the show. Yeah. It's not really them. They're making decisions and doing things that they would never do if they were sober or have a clean slate, clean state of mind. So once you finally meet the real person, then you can begin that healing process, truly going deep and healing. And it is very rewarding, when you get the hugs and say, you saved my life. Yeah. Thank you. Or when the family members come in and they just break down in your arms. It's the fuel that helps us keep going. Right. It really is. And no amount of money or anything could ever fulfill that. It's really powerful work. And I will say it doesn't always end that way either. Sometimes the addiction wins. And they're like, I'm out of here, and you see it. They're kind of acting like everything's fine, but you can see it.
Yeah.
because the saying is, well, you can fool the fans, but you can't fool the players. Mm-hmm. So you see it, and you see it in their eyes, and it's like, man, I hope he survives when they go back out. Right. And, a lot of them come back, and they go, I wasn't ready. We're like, yeah, we tried to tell you, so let's do it again. And that's what we do. We just have that open door policy where we'll welcome them back, and, sometimes it takes 2 times for them to get it. But it is very rewarding. I couldn't think of any other work that I'd want to do. Yeah. Technically I could have retired when I sold the last business. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, that's not me, sitting on a beach or doing nothing. I want to contribute. I want to have a higher purpose, higher calling.
Let's get into your background a little bit. Like, how did this become something that you wanted to get into?
Yeah, so good question. That started back in 2001. Okay. I was living in Las Vegas, having a good time. My wife was a police officer, and I was running nightclubs, running country western clubs. So kind of the joke was I'd get them drunk and she'd book them in jail, the full circle. Right. And it was fun. In our 20s, I don't think I could survive it again. But hey, it was Vegas and all that stuff. Right. And I was good at my job. I got a lot of people drunk, and I hooked a lot of people up, and hey, you should meet this person and all that. And we were the #1 country club in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah, we'd put about 1,500 people through there a night.
Oh my gosh.
And again, it was fun, but it also took a toll on me. It did, emotionally, physically, spiritually, because I'm naturally an introverted person, just a quiet guy, and that's like, come on, you got to get the party going. And so I'd get it going, but I didn't know how to turn it off either. Right. So after work, we'd go out drinking, and next thing I know is I was struggling with drinking too myself. I'll never forget one night, my wife came home in full uniform, and I'd been out on about a 3-day drinking bender. And she comes home, and I look up, and what I saw was the woman I fell in love with, because she had lost herself to my addiction too. Covering up, like, where's Josh? Oh, he's just at home sleeping, or I don't know, or, right. She was afraid that maybe I was going to get arrested and come in combative fighting, and that's her officer friends. And so she kind of had like a secret life behind closed doors. Right. Like, everything looked good to the outside, right. Middle class family, and everything looked good, nice car, decent house, but behind closed doors, it wasn't working. Right. And she came home, said, Josh, now, I will say, it looked like she said, with her hand on her gun, either you go to rehab tonight or I'm going to divorce you. And I was like, okay, I'm in. But it was time. It was a lifeline I was looking for. And I knew this time was different because she had gotten her power back, being that I could see it in her eyes. I was like, whoa. There's no more games. There's no more, honey, this time will be different. I promise. And clean up for a few days or a week and then go back to the same stuff. It's like, the gig's up. Right. It's over. So I did. I went to treatment and got the help that I deserved. And that's when really we've been together now, 23 years, been married for 18. But at that time, even though we were married, we were together, we weren't really like hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And when I chose into life, chose into marriage, chose into recovery, that's when it all came together for us and started the healing process together. So it wasn't just me being, oh, he's the alcoholic. It was, this is a family problem, from the stuff that I was doing to how she was handling it. And so we got healthy together. And that's what got me into the field, if you think about it. I came crawling in the front door and went through a program in California, became friends with the owner of the facility. And he knew I had to go back to work in the nightclubs, and I was dreading it. Like, oh man, it's just a matter of time, going back into the...
Putting yourself in a similar situation again.
Yeah. I just left there. I got healthy. Now I'm going to go right back and try to be different. It was just a matter of time before it got me. Same friends, same environment. So he planted a seed. He goes, when I was drinking, he goes, all I wanted to do was open up restaurants. He had a chain of Bob's Big Boy restaurants in California. He goes, now that I'm sober, all I want to do is open up treatment centers. Maybe you'll be the same. I thought, well, I didn't think much of it, but it planted the seed. And went back to Las Vegas, went back to work, in the nightclub, and here I am on the floor, my earpiece in, general managing it. I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. On a spiritual level, I don't want to be part of a problem. I want to be part of a solution. Instead of ripping families apart, with one-night stands and DUIs and all that stuff that goes on in nightclubs, I want to help people rebuild their families again. So I called him up and I said, will you teach me this industry? And he said, absolutely. So that was back in 2001.
Wow.
My wife and I went out, we raised some money, and we opened our first treatment center in Salt Lake City, Utah, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah. So we went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah. But what a great story, and how cool that it was that you were able to experience that firsthand, because I think that really lays the foundation then for what you want to do.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, to have a strong why, you got to have that drive, because business is tough, life is tough.
So Salt Lake City, tell me a little bit about that, and then where'd you go from there?
So we built it from the end user's point of view. Again, I came crawling in, So how would I want to be treated? How would I want to be greeted? What type of food would I want to eat? How does my wife want to be treated? What type of counselors does she want to talk to? So we built it from the end user's point of view, and it worked. And it worked well. We ended up with 6 locations in multiple states. Wow. Had a team of almost 100 people working for us. And things were going along great. And we were getting ready to expand into Texas. At that time, we called it a Veterans Healing Center. Okay. Because we had discovered that 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
And it was almost like, is that even realistic? It just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And we had different, from our friends and stuff coming back from the war, we could see these guys need help. Mm-hmm. And Lisa being a police officer, we would have different officers come through our programs. So the question was, well, where do they go? They go to the VA, they go to government institutions, or the police officers go to treatment centers with general population, sometimes guys that they could have arrested.
Right.
So it's like, So we started on that process. This is back in 2013. And at that time, a private equity company came to us and said, we know who you are. You got a good reputation in the space. We want to buy your company. And at that time, Lisa and I had never sold a large company like that before. And was, well, we're going to do this. And they said, well, you'll be on a non-compete, but if this deal goes through, we'll carve that out so you can still do this particular niche. Like, So we continued down that path, and we ended up selling to them in 2013. So we sold all of our businesses, all the operations, and it really gave us a chance to pull some chips off the table, think about what we really want to do next, and it's like, yeah, we love this space.
Right.
We love what we're doing. Now let's focus all of our efforts for this population, because they really have earned, and they do, like, from 911, phone call, hey, my child's drowning in the pool, please come. To what we've asked them to do in the military, overseas. These guys, and gals, they earned us as a community to be there for them.
They deserve that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was like, who else is out there doing this in the private sector? And no one was. So that's why we built Warrior's Heart.
That's such a great story.
Thank you.
It's really fantastic. So now, what brought you here to Bandera? Just finding this location, like you said?
Yeah. We looked at, probably 300 properties. We burned out 3 real estate agents. They're like, yeah, okay. We're like, we know what we want. And we started in Dallas, Houston, Austin, and then down through the hill country. And there was this place here called Purple Sage Ranch, and it wasn't for sale. And our real estate agent said, well, we've looked at all the dude ranches and large McMansions and stuff in the area. There's nothing else for sale, but there's a place that we know of it. Let's just go check it out, and maybe we'll get some ideas on what you guys are after. It's okay. So when we came here on this property, it was like, this is it. They built this for a healing center. So we sent our real estate agent on a mission to find out who owned it. Turned out to be the richest man in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mr. Mac Chase, billionaire. I'm like, wow, okay, I've never pitched a billionaire before.
How do we do this?
Put on my big boy pants, here we go. And we did, and we told him who we are and what we're doing and why we want to do it. And he was tough, I will say. Yeah. elderly man in his 80s, and he was just very astute and studied us. And he's like, all right, give me 30 days to think about it. And 30 days later, he said, okay, son, you got a deal.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really generous of him, too. He was tough, but he was fair.
Yeah.
And we were in business.
Yeah, it worked out amazingly.
Yeah. Now, it hasn't been easy. Not at all.
Okay, so tell us about some of the challenges that you've faced.
For entrepreneurship, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
One day you're a hero and amazing, you think, you're awesome. And then even the next day or next moment, you're an idiot and so stupid. And how did I do that? And it's just up and down. So to be an entrepreneur, you really need emotional intelligence. And I think that is key.
Yeah. How do you go about even attaining that or striving for emotional intelligence? Because that's something that I think we have to train ourselves to have and to be aware of even.
Right.
So how do you go about doing that?
On a very simple level, like, okay, if you have a gym membership, you go to the gym. You say, well, I'm going to the gym, I'm getting healthy. But the next level of that is, okay, but you have a personal trainer. Because the personal trainer is going to hold you accountable. Right. They're going to put more pressure on you. Yeah, so that then increases your emotional intelligence because it's going to suck.
Right.
And it's not going to be easy, but the results will be so much better. So that's the difference between an amateur and a professional, is professionals have coaches. So whatever it is that you want to get into, hire a coach to help push you through that emotional barriers and so you can be able to take additional stress. Because that's what it is. How much stress can you manage?
Right. And keep pushing through to persevere.
That's right. And then when you get those wins, celebrate those wins
right.
and anchor them in so you can build on that momentum.
Right, absolutely.
And the other key, I think, too, is financial education. Being aware of financial education, being able to read the numbers, make decisions, make tough decisions.
Yeah.
Because without money, this whole thing doesn't work. And when I got sober, I made a vow. It's like, nothing will ever control me ever again. This alcohol. Now my wife, she's got control.
It's a whole
like, I got
story.
Yeah. That's why we're still happily married, right? And but I didn't want alcohol ever to control me. So when I found out money was controlling me, it was like, whoa, it was a gut punch. Money controls us. A lot of us are slaves to money. So I was like, never again. So let me figure out how to master that. And that was through financial education, learning about it. And one of my mentors for that is Robert Kiyosaki, the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's where I found my coach, my mentor, to teach me that. So anywhere where I'm struggling or I want to have a breakthrough, I'd hire a coach or work for free for a mentor and learn.
Which is something I think that we all struggle to continue to do and find new places to continue learning.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I'm hearing you say a lot too. Like it sounds like you're very introspective and you're reflective and you look at yourself and things that you can do and find ways to improve and to continue learning. And how important do you feel like that is? Just for people in general, and especially people who are looking to sort of push themselves into new places.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Because the distance between where I am today and where I want to go in the future is between my ears, right? It's that little voice that comes up, no, you can't do that, or, oh, you don't have enough money, or you're not smart enough, oh, you should go back to school, or your parents' voice, all that chatter, it gets in the way of being who we really are. And you have to be introspective, I think, to take a look and then go, is that serving me, or is it getting in the way?
Right.
And a lot of times, okay, hear you, thank you for sharing, push that little voice off to the sides, I'm going to do it anyways. Am I scared to death? Hell yeah. Am I uncomfortable? Yeah. Do I really want to be here? No, I'm uncomfortable, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyways.
And I feel like a lot of times too that comfort level and getting out of our comfort zone is even what helps to push us further.
It is.
And you have to have that to grow and continue to move forward, because otherwise you're just complacent. You just stay.
It's a principle.
Right.
I mean, think about working out. You have to add more weights to get stronger.
Exactly.
So you have to add more pressure, more stress to get stronger. Then you look back and go, man, 5 years ago I couldn't have handled anything I'm doing today. Now that is easy.
Right.
So yes, absolutely.
And even in a case it's physical strength, but it's that mental strength
right.
that really you realize that you're capable of so much more than you thought you had been.
Yeah, I'm using the physical as an example,
right.
but it's mental.
It's mental.
All mental,
it's completely mental.
spiritual,
right.
emotional.
All of it. So where do you see yourself, or where do you see this going?
Yeah. So Warriors Heart is the first private treatment center in the nation.
Okay.
It really, it is. No one else has done this, licensed, accredited, done it the right way.
That's awesome.
And there's a lot of good organizations out there that are helping our veterans, but no one took the behavioral health licensed treatment care that from our background and are doing this. And my wife and I partnered up with an incredible human being, Tom Spooner. He's our partner, and he has the military background side of it. 21 years in the Army and special operations, and just a rock star. And he has really helped too, opening doors in that side of it.
Right.
So what I see is that we have the military with the police, we have people on the team of firefighters, so we bring in all of the different disciplines together. So when our warriors walk through the doors, they know that this was built by a warrior for a warrior. It's not a sterile hospital. Right. It's not, it's something that they can go, wow, culturally I fit here.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've had about 360 warriors now through our program. It's working. The reputation's gaining momentum.
Right.
This particular administration is behind supporting veterans, so we have a lot of good support there with reimbursements and stuff. So what I see is that one contract, like with the DoD, the Department of Defense, can change everything for us, where we'll have multiple facilities all across the United States. So every day that's our goal,
right.
And we just keep moving forward and making mistakes and learning from them, growing from them. But we have a plan to expand nationally.
I absolutely see it happening for you guys. Just hearing your story and all the things you've done so far, I have no doubt that it's just a matter of time.
Thanks.
Before you get there.
Well, I figured even to qualify to be on the show, I had to be bold.
Well, absolutely.
Right.
So let's touch on that really quickly. When if someone was asking, or you had to give advice to people about living boldly, what would you say to them? What advice would you give to people who are looking to just sort of put themselves out there?
First, if you're afraid of something, you may want to take a look at it and ask why. And at that core issue underneath it, there's some huge learning potential. Like, I'm scared to death of public speaking, doing this kind of stuff. So I do it because I'm uncomfortable with it. It helps me grow. It helps me learn. And out of it, who knows who's listening to this and how it's going to impact their lives. And they go, you know what, if that idiot can do it, I can do it too, right? I'm not special. I just didn't give up.
Yeah.
And I've surrounded myself around some great people. That was a big thing. In Las Vegas, I was around good people, but they were my partying buddies.
Right.
They weren't really my close friends. Not all of them. But when I quit drinking, I found out who my friends were and who my drinking buddies were real quick. So surround yourself around the right people. Get a coach, get a mentor, and get uncomfortable. Start learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
If, like I said, if we're complacent, then we're really not challenging ourselves in our lives.
And I think so often people just get complacent and they're just okay with the way things are. Yeah, so I think that's great advice.
Now, it's not easy.
No,
right?
It's not easy,
right.
But that's what makes it worth it, right?
It does. In the long run, I look back and go, wow, what I'm doing today and traveling internationally and the people I know and just who would ever, I've been to the Pentagon. It was like I dropped out of high school. Wow. I was told that you would be nothing. You're lazy, you're incompetent by my teachers. Wow. Part of that drive is like, I'll show you. I wrote a book. I failed English. I'm dyslexic. Wow. I had all of these things that lined up that, alcoholic. I was just confused as a kid. I wanted to fit in. I didn't know what to do. I just knew that what parents and teachers and adults were telling me was different than what they were doing. So they were full of shit, really. So I was like, there's something, okay, I got to figure out my own path here, because the path that they're telling me to go isn't really working for a lot of people. Yeah. So I had to be bold, had to go for it.
Well, and clearly you have some inner strength that was inherent within you, because a lot of times people hear those voices and start to believe it.
Right.
And so what would you say to them? And you mentioned earlier, just kind of with the chatter and things, like push that away. But how do you really embolden someone and say, don't listen to what they're saying, because it can be difficult when that's what you hear over and over.
And it sounds like a broken record, but again, get a coach, get a mentor, get a life coach. I've spent more money outside of school and studying outside of school than I ever did in school. I am a lifelong student now. I read books, I go to seminars, I do events. I want to learn, I want to grow. And that's how it keeps the chatter down, by importing new information instead of believing the old stuff. It's like, wow, that's a great idea. Let me go test that. Let me go apply it. So that's the big one, is become a student again.
I think
and study stuff that you want to.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's key too. Find the things that you're interested in and that you are passionate about.
Yeah, in school I wanted to learn how to ride bikes and get a girlfriend. Yeah. But they didn't have any classes in that. Like, I'm uncomfortable talking to a girl, so they're like, no, be quiet, sit down.
That's so funny. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us right now?
Besides my story, I think for the viewers and listeners, stuff is you can do it too. Those that have succeeded, there's nothing really special about them or about me or anything. It's just, I didn't give up. And believe me, I want to. There's many times that 16-hour days and I'm just like, what am I doing? But to tap into that inner strength, that spiritual strength, and I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, if that makes sense, because I don't understand it. There's just so much, I really don't believe a lot of the stories and stuff, so it's like I don't understand it, but I believe that there's something greater than me. I really do, and that's why I'm still alive. And it's just to tap into that energy and trust it. A lot of people believe in God, very few people trust in God, and whatever that means to you. So trust the process and go for it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we got some great information from you.
Awesome.
Again, this is Warrior's Heart in Bandera, Texas. So Josh Lannon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
it.
Thank you.
You bet.
That was Josh Lannon from Warrior's Heart. For more information about their facility, you can find them online at www.warriorsheart.com. That's WARRIORSHEART. And follow them on Instagram at @warriors_heart_facility. Our next podcast will be available on July 12th, and we are sitting down with David Forks, an artist who shows us it is never too late to chase your dreams and live boldly. Dare to be Bold is a branded podcast from J.Forks Designs. This episode was produced by me, Casey Forks, Jenny Forks, and Courtney Cobb. Courtney Cobb mixed this episode. You can find Dare to be Bold on SoundCloud and iTunes or watch on YouTube. Do us a favor and help spread the news about our show. You can also find us at jforksdesigns.com. That's JFORKSDESIGNS.com. I'm Casey Forks. Thanks for listening.